In the 70s, home haunts were generally very simple. A colored party bulb screwed into the front porch light, and spooky music being played loudly from an open window. Today, home haunts have evolved to the point of rivaling professional attractions. Epic Home Haunts is a new documentary that gives viewers a fascinating, heartfelt look into the shadows, at the dreamers and doers that bring our worst fears to life in their own front yards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, from Boot Hill in Irvine, California, Shay Foley and Glenn Schmee. From Beware the Dark Realm in Santa Clarita, California, Christian and Scott Sibley. From Restless Souls Manor in Palmdale, California, Greg and Donovan Packard. From Rotten Apple 907 in Burbank, California, Diane and Preston Meyer. And give it up for your host, filmmaker Josh Quillen.
There's a mic.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Epic Home Haunts presentation.
What's up? We made it. Now let's just hope that the presentation works. My name is Josh Quillen. I am the writer, director, producer, editor, filmmaker, craft service driver for Epic Home Haunts. The entire film is basically just an idea my wife and I had 6 years ago, I think. It started off with Hollywood Hunter, actually. Kristen, my wife was right here, by the way. I was looking for her. I was like, it started off with Hollywood Hunter, actually. They're Kristen and Gina, friends of ours, and they were doing a lot of YouTube stuff, and they're like, your low light kind of sucks. Let's help with that. So my wife and I, they built this huge Western town in their front yard. I don't know if anybody remembers that. And my wife and I went, you know what, let's bring all over lights. We want a production studio. So we brought, I don't know, it was like 15 studio lights and cranes and Steadicams, went and filmed it. And both my wife and I were like, this should be a movie. Like, this is insane. Flash forward 3 years later, we had actually sold it as a TV series, and then that fell through. And so we self-funded the film. We turned it into a movie. Flash forward 3 years later, we're broke. And now we're having a movie, and we get to be here. So let's, just in case you waltzed in here and have no idea what this is, let's just check out the teaser real quick.
Home haunting.
Oh my gosh, it's blinking again!
Home haunter is somebody who does a haunt out of their home, and they do it just simply for the love of doing it. They don't make any money from it. They don't, we just simply do it for the love of it.
We actually have adults that are bringing their children that came to the haunt when they were children.
I think oftentimes if we can just inspire one person that's going to come through here someday that's going to say, hey, that was the coolest thing ever. When I get a house of my own, I'm going to do that.
So that's the movie. So let's go down the line. We'll start with Boot Hill, start with Shay and Glenn, and just kind of how you guys got started into home. Like, why did you start a home hunt? How long have you been doing it as well?
This is going to be our 19th year. We started 23 years ago. We took like a 5-year break. But I started with Rick West originally, and he did it with me for the first 4 years. And it was just a matter of like, nobody does anything for Halloween, let's do something. So we grabbed a CD off the shelf, threw some pumpkins on the yard, made some tombstones out of styrofoam, and that was it. And from that, the following year actually officially became Boot Hill, and it's been going ever since, and it just grows every year.
Sorry.
Both in crowd, and the footprint stays the same, but we add as much as we can every single year.
So what is the theme for those? And has anybody ever been to Boot Hill? Yeah, come on. So for the majority of people who have never been, what is wrong with you? And two, can you explain what the theme is? What is Boot Hill?
Boot Hill, it's basically a Western theme. Rick wrote a really great backstory for our haunt, basically based on a costume that I was doing the first year that we did it. I did kind of a skull cowboy, zombie cowboy costume that year, and he came up with this whole, it was like 2.5 page backstory on the haunt, and it just kind of stuck. So it's grown. The story's always stayed the same. We've never changed it. We've added little things and tweaked little things here and there, but the nice thing about keeping that the same is it just makes it a little easier and a little less expensive every year to add to it.
I see Diane nodding her head. For those of you who don't know, we'll get to why that's hilarious in just a second. So Glenn, when did you join the team?
See, I came in, what year was that? 2004. So from 4 to present.
Got it. And you came in after, so Rick had left, and you guys had stopped.
Yeah,
and then
Rick had left, and then there was about, like you said, 5-year break or so. And previously, I'd done other haunts, little ones here and there. And so we talked about it starting. He said, well, I was thinking about bringing Boot Hill back again. What do you think? And I said, yeah, sure, I'm all in. And so we pooled our resources and did it. And originally we were thinking, 1-2 years, and here it is, 15 years later, we're still going.
Let's just keep going. We can't stop, right? It's
Yeah, we gotta make it to at least 20 now.
Yeah, exactly, right. And then it'll be 25, and it'll be 30. So next to Boot Hill here, this is Christian and Scott. Scott Sibley, not Sylvie, as I called it for like the first year and a half. And he was like, it's Sibley, learn how to read. These guys run a haunt in Santa Clarita, California. It's amazing. It's a castle theme. Are you guys going to talk about like just the genesis of how this became?
How we started?
Yeah.
Or how we started haunting?
Yeah, how you started to Beware the Dark, because you've been haunting for...
I started in 1971, so I'm on my 47th year of doing haunts. Something to say about longevity, right? Yeah. And actually wound up getting started just simply because I was trick-or-treating and I was too darn tall. People stopped giving me candy. They said, kid, go home, you're too old. I wasn't that old, I was just tall. So I just wound up, there was a guy that lived around the street from me. Anybody remember the old Lost in Space TV series? I mean, the old one, not the new ones that they have out now. And guy around the corner, he must have worked for 20th Century Fox because he used to run around the street scaring kids with that costumes from that show. And not that they were that great, he never did wear the giant carrot one. That was just a horrible one in that show, but if you've ever seen it. And then I said, well, if that guy's having so much fun, that's what I'm gonna do.
Nice. And how did the castle theme come about? Because it wasn't always a castle, right?
I always wanted to do a castle. We've had some different incarnations over the years, and I didn't change every year, but I'd like to change things around every once in a while and try a few different things. But then I said, I've always wanted to do a castle, and let's just do a castle and just stay with it for a little while and do that. So we've been, the last 5 years or so, just doing a castle theme and stuff like that. So and it's worked out pretty good for us, and I've enjoyed doing it.
Nice. And you've even had people walk through that have said, this feels like castles back in the
Yeah, I have this one lady comes she came 3 years ago, and she was 96 years old. And she came through and she says, this reminds me of a castle in Israel that I grew up as a kid going through and stuff like that. And I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah, really, seriously. And then the following year, I was worried having her going in, she was 96. And then the following year, she didn't show up. And then this last year, she was back again. And I was like, I look at her, I go, what happened to you last year? And she goes, oh, I had some heart problems, but I'm back to go through now. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want you to go through. I'm really trying to scare you. She said, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. But so try very hard, the details, you try very hard to get it to look good. And next one over here, right?
Yeah. So how old are you first?
I am 25, just turned 25.
So you're a youngin'.
Yeah.
How long have you been hunting?
Since 1993, the year I was born, pretty much. Yeah.
So you're an infant.
Infant,
Okay.
scaring people to death, yeah.
So what do you do a lot of makeup and costuming, right?
Yeah, so I do a lot from everything of designing the maze, along with my brother helps out a ton with it. My dad and my mom helps out a lot too. Just from design to doing custom costumes for everybody, to putting the prosthetics on everybody at night, to making some custom masks and everything, to building the haunt, to taking photos, to whatever we really need to do. Just a mixture of everything for us.
So it's not just, you guys don't just go to the store and buy something and put it on.
No.
You custom build it.
And that's something I think all of these haunts up here do such a great job on, is not just exactly the haunt itself, but everything in it, to the smallest details, are all handcrafted things that is part of what makes it all so special for all of us.
Nice. Cool. So next to Christian and Scott, we have Greg and Donovan from Restless Souls Manor, which I heard a large cheer. It's either A, it's all Cal Hunts people, or B.
We brought our own cheer.
I was like, or B, you guys brought a lot of friends. So you guys are out in Palmdale. You guys are a drive.
Yeah, we are. We are.
So you guys are pretty new too. The hunt's been going, this is the 4th year?
Fifth year? Yeah, this season will be our 5th season. I kind of started with a yard display, actually a very modest one, like I think it was the day before Halloween, and I had some fence boards laying around that I'd just done a fence repair, and I'm like, I could make a coffin out of that. So I slapped together this coffin and threw together a dummy and put it in the front yard, and everybody was just mesmerized by that, only on Halloween. So I'm like, well, okay, next time we can do a little better. And so it just kind of evolved through the years, and it kind of became a good-sized yard display. And then some weird psychiatric thing happened to me, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and people doing this walkthroughs, and I said, I think I want to do this walkthrough thing. So we decided 4 years ago to take the plunge into creating a complete walkthrough attraction.
Which goes from the side yard, down your side yard, back onto your porch, or like your back eating area where your barbecue and stuff is, back down the side yard, then into the garage, through the garage, out the garage, and out into the driveway.
Correct.
Just that. That's all. So if you guys are even wondering what his yard display is, it's the top right photo up there. That's Greg's yard display. His tiny, small little yard display. So Donovan, you came in and you help out with the hunt, and you guys are brothers, by the way. These are brothers. So this is like a family deal for you guys.
It is. My kids come out and help and everything.
And how long have you been hunting for a long time, right?
Yeah, I started back in 1983. So yeah, it's been a while. Took a little hiatus in between, but yeah.
And you guys do, your story is really interesting because you guys have one very well done story, kind of like with Hill, where you guys have a singular story, but your haunt jumps timelines on that story, correct?
Right, yeah, we have a basic story of the manor and the home and the family that live there. And then we kind of progress the story throughout with different characters, different pieces of it. So we have a ghost bride one year, when we had some ghost witch hunters one year that were there hunting the witches. So yeah.
And this last year was modern time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you had like you built these. Were they RFID? What were they do? Like paranormal puck type things?
Yeah, we used some microcontrollers, and we used some infrared scanners to shoot beams down to change the code on the microcomputer.
So you would walk around the haunt, and as you got to an area where it was infested with ghosts, the device would start going off in your hand.
Shaking and lights going and all kinds of stuff.
Nice, kind of pre-warning somebody. Like, warning, scare coming.
They weren't 100% effective.
Yeah, no, well they worked because we were filming. It would go off, and then they'd be looking down at the device, and then a drop panel would happen over here. It was very well done. It worked really well. Cool. And then these two crazy people next to me. This is Diane and Preston, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, Cal Hans. These guys run Rotten Apple 907 in Burbank, which you need to go to. Every year, go to their, it's amazing. Go to all of the hunts, but really go to these guys. Can you guys just explain how long you've been doing this, how you got into haunting?
20 years now. 28 years. Started off that my daughter was born on October 26th, so we ended up having birthday parties on Halloween. And we'd have a haunted house where the party guests would have to go through the haunted house before they'd go to the back of the house to have their party. Well, the trick-or-treaters would come to the door and we'd start giving them candy and they'd go, I want to go to there. What's that? I want to go to that. So we actually did the haunted house inside the house for probably 5 or 6 years. And, longer. And we had them come in and we hung felt in the middle of the living rooms to divide it. So you go in one side, through the dining room, to the kitchen, and then back down the hallway, and then back out the front door again.
Did you hide your valuables, or was it just come on in? Oh, okay.
Yeah, back then it was. Yeah. Matter of fact, we still have screws in the ceiling where we hung the felt from.
Nice, and from there, it's progressed to, you have a tent that covers your entire lawn and driveway, you have exit signs, you have an entire security system that you tear down and reinstall every year. It's grown to something crazy, it's huge. And you guys can only start building what, September?
September 1st.
Yeah, we set up September 1st.
And it has to be torn down when?
The second week in November.
That's crazy.
All entirely off the property.
Because the city will exnate you guys from doing it again, correct?
Yeah.
That's
fire
crazy.
department permits and the whole thing.
Wow. What are some of the challenges you guys have faced with city center? We'll be here for 3 more hours, by the way.
How much time do you got?
Just pick one.
Fortunately, I had some experience in construction, so the planning of the thing, because the fire department, of course, wants a detailed plan of everything in the world. And if you look at their list of things you got to do, you're going, we don't do that. I don't have that. I don't have this. Do you really need this? And, oh yeah, I got to have everything. Gee, so we got fire extinguishers, exit signs. One year we just had an exit sign. The next year they said, oh, it's got to be an illuminated exit sign. Yeah. So one thing after another. So we're almost a pro haunt just by how they treat us.
You are a pro haunt. If you go through your haunt, you've got giant animatronic dragons. You guys are a pro haunt. That's not even a joke. They have, 15 feet tall? 10 feet tall?
They weigh about 9 feet tall.
I'm way over exaggerating. It was 42 feet tall. A wingspan of 93 feet. It actually flew. So, real quick, I'll take a slight break and then we'll come back for a second. When we were filming, we filmed everybody outside. And all of our haunters for the doc, we filmed them all outside in their houses or in front of storage. All of our experts, quote unquote, we all filmed inside on some form of set. One thing we dealt with every single person, if you go through the doc, there is a bird in the background of every single interview. There are planes, there's trains, there's cop cars. There's a few other things. With Diane and Preston, our equipment kept falling over, but we actually put a little blooper reel together for you guys to enjoy.
Hi, I'm Christopher Leslie.
I'm Gina Doctor. And we're Hollywood Hunter.
A funny story with that. Funny, but kind of sad.
I'd go to my neighbor's house and she'd go, whoa!
There you go, dear. Do your clapper.
A lot of the things within Boot Hill came directly from Not Scary Farm, of course.
Yeah. Not until after the plane.
Leaving your
And you know the train's gonna come by in about 5 seconds too. So this is a funny story. They're all funny.
I'm a hoarder.
Yeah.
And I have a problem.
And the problem is it's all skeletons, pumpkins, whatever.
The probing room is horrifying.
And that wasn't my first reincarnation as a female. I'm not say woman, because I'm not sure if I qualify for that.
Well, damn.
Several years ago, we started haunting, and we needed a name.
Do you want to like?
Why am I telling you this?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I think
it's
we
too
should.
hard. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
So that's what we had to deal with. The worst was Chris and Gina. It was supposed to be a 45-minute interview. I think we went for like an hour and 40 minutes. It took 30 minutes just to get them to stop laughing. It was pretty good, and I have so much more of them. So let's go back down the line this way, and let's just talk about, you guys have so much stuff, particularly you guys. There's so much stuff that you have to be able to do this, because you're not buying all new. You'll build something and you save it. You're not gonna throw anything away. Where do you put it all? Let's start with Boot Hill here.
When we Boot Hill's done at my mom's house. Smart man. And I wasn't living there when we started. I was living in LA and in an apartment. Rick was in Irvine. So it started there. So everything at the beginning was stored on the sides of my mom's house. All the fencing, coffins, whatever we had, that's where it went. As it progressed, we had a storage unit, stuff started going there. When we first started back up, the whole reason for us starting back up was I told my mom, we're gonna do it one more year, I'm gonna clear off the sides of the house, and we're done. And that was 15 years ago. So now at this point, it's still on the sides of the house. Now both sides of the house. And then we've got stuff in the attic. Glenn stores stuff in his mom's garage. We have another friend that has a shop that stores like all our flats. So it's progressed. So anywhere anybody has any space, we generally take it.
So does anybody have any space out in the audience that would like? So Scott and Christian, where do you guys store everything?
Well, naturally, there's a little bit in the garage. A little bit. At least half the, I gotta have some room inside the garage and move around. But I wound up building, if you saw the video there, I built a cabin in the backyard. We needed a storage container to hold the props. It was as simple as that. So I built a cabin in the back, and I was like, let's make it nice. If you're gonna do it, right? Why don't you have just a regular, build a cabin?
I just love that. I needed space, so I built a cabin.
And then side yards and every nook and cranny that I possibly can. If I can't break it down, it drives him nuts. Because I go, if we can't break it down to where it's virtually nothing, we have 120 walls that are 4x8. So that's just for starting for the walls. That's not including all the props and everything else. So there's just not a lot of room. So if we can't store it at the house, we don't keep it.
Wow, and this is all in that back storage.
Yeah.
Deal. Now you guys will see it. There's a couple of clips we'll come up with soon. You'll see behind Scott during his interviews. There's what looks like a Western Not Scary Farm cabin. That is his storage unit. It's actually a giant storage tank. It's brilliant. His backyard's amazing, by the way. It looks a lot like Ghost Town at Not Scary Farm. It's really good. So Restless Soul, where do you guys store everything?
Well, we have a 3-car garage that's never had a car. The overhead in the garage, the side of the house, the back of the house, and then we have 2 storage units that we pay for year-round.
How big is each storage unit?
Neither of them is very large, actually. One's 10 by 10, one's 10 by 15. We keep most of the flats in the 10 by 15, but it's stacked floor to ceiling, double wide. So, so it pretty much all lives there. And of course, there's a few nooks and crannies in the house, where there's the higher value stuff, so to speak.
Under the sofa, in the back of the closet.
Our guest room is full of things, but we have a lot of. Because our theme is a house, we actually have furniture. And it's, of course, it's a Victorian house, so we have antique furniture. So we have antique furniture and antique china and glassware and silverware and all kinds of things. So a lot of that stuff the small stuff ends up a lot of it in the house.
Nice. Well, and that's one thing that you guys will see in the doc is they're not just walls. They're not just walls with like a table with a runner. It's walls with a table with a runner, with plates, with forks, with knives, with candles, with candelabras, with cobwebs, and then it's detail upon detail upon detail upon detail. It's mind-boggling the amount of you can get this far from it, and you still see things you would never see. And you don't see half of it because it's dark. Which boggles my mind. I'm like, the lights are on. I'm like, this is amazing. And the lights are on. I'm like, where did it go? Like, that little side, that's I can see that. But it's the detail you guys go into is insane. So, Brother Apple. I know what storage you have. And storage, and storage, and storage. Would you like to explain the storage you have?
Well, of course, we've grown slightly since we've started inside the house, now that we take up the entire front yard. And we change every year. Of course, some of the walls you really don't want to paint over and redo because you just spent a whole lot of time doing a really custom stone job or something. And so we kind of save that and then build another wall for the current one. And like 1 year we did industrial building, 1 year we did a space odyssey, so we had an old steel Futurama building, and we've done manor houses and library and museums. And so there's some wall sections and door sections that fit one and don't fit the other. So we keep growing and attaining more, and they built onto the back of the garage, and built onto the attic, and built a pool house with an attic,
and filled in your pool, and then covered your pool.
So upstairs and downstairs pool, and we've got about 6,000 square feet of open storage in Acton that sometimes flows downstream.
Yeah, for those who don't know, 2017, you guys had a flash flood in your Acton storage, and you lost a fair amount of stuff. It was like a third of your stuff, right? Just gone. And this was a flood that, it was big enough that it took like shipping containers, like the ones on trains, right? And just washed them half a mile to a mile downstream. Like, this is an insane, it's all in the dock, by the way, all of us. We were there for 2 weekends filming. Diane and Preston just in the mud, just because it was like what, 2 feet down worth of mud.
Oh, it was higher.
Yeah, there's about 4 feet of water over everything, and then it took about 2 weeks for the water to go down, and there was a foot or two of mud after that.
And this was in July, end of July, beginning of August.
Right after Midsummer last year.
Yeah.
The next week.
I'm not about to hand you a mic, you keep talking. I'm just gonna like, and but even with all that, you still did a haunt. And it was still a completely custom, brand new haunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the walls were recycled. Some of the walls had Acton mud on them.
It's steaming, it's not mud.
Very nice.
Yes. We were originally going to do something different, and that didn't quite work out because we lost a lot of the walls. So it ended up that just everybody's going to hell. That was the haunt that year.
Yeah, the haunt was literally a trip through hell. You guys didn't realize that. But it was amazing because you went through, it was like a witch's cottage and then out into the forest, and then from the forest through a portal, and then from a portal into a completely blackout section, which I had to walk backwards through filming people. I crashed into the walls a number of times. And then they had little like bees, because you guys also had a bee infestation.
Yeah, the bees were from in Acton. When we went through all the mud and the flood, we found out that we had a whole beehive in our walls. So, and they were killer bees. So they attacked us, we all got stung, it was really horrible. So we decided we had to add a tribute to the haunt. So we had bee noise and little bees hanging down.
Which was the bane of my existence because they kept getting wrapped around my camera and I'd have to stop people, like I'm filming them, like, no wait, hang on. And I'm like unwrapping bees from my gear, trying to get through. But it's insane, like no matter what, you guys just do it. It's crazy. I mean, that's one of the cool things about the haunt community is that These guys are so passionate about what they do that they could lose a third of their stuff, half their walls could be under 4 feet of water, and they're like, yeah, we're still building a haunt in a month. It's fine, we'll just wipe it down. It's no big deal. It's crazy. And then the community itself came up and actually really helped you guys out, right?
Yes, somebody in our community set up a GoFundMe page to help us with some of the costs, because we had to start hiring people because we were all getting sick. It was, of course, 102-degree weather out there, and we're trying to dig all this stuff out. And we were out there from the 1st of August until September 1st, out there every single weekend and sometimes during the week. And so we were getting physically ill. And so we ended up having to hire help and stuff. So the GoFundMe helped pay for all that.
Yet you still didn't quit it.
No.
That's insane. That's insane to me. That's the kind of dedication that's insane. That was one of the things that really drew my wife and I, was just like, you know, we started meeting everybody. Chris and Gina actually introduced us at Scare LA the first before Midsummer was even a thing. And we just started talking. We're just like, what? Like, what do you mean you what? Then we met everybody else. My wife and I actually went to Boot Hill a number of years ago. Rick was like, you're going to Boot Hill. And I'm like, what is Boot Hill? And he's like, you're going. And I'm like, okay. So we went. And this was before my wife. My wife was not into haunting about 10 years ago. And we went to Boot Hill and she was like, okay, we're going to Scary Farm. Like, this is amazing, we're going. And I was like, all right, yeah. So I owe those two the fact that my wife will now go to Scary Farm now. But so what is an average night? Like, you guys have had insane crowds on Halloween to the point where you've just not been open, right? Like, what's your crowds like now?
Crowds have grown, they've kind of plateaued slightly, but I would say over the last 5 years, it's grown exponentially. Last year was the first year we weren't open on Halloween since we started. And it was mainly because of the crowds. It just got, I mean, the nights that were open before, it's never slow, it's always consistent, but it's never a really super long line, which is great. But the last couple Halloweens, we've had lines 2.5 hours. And our haunt is tiny. I mean, it's literally, and we don't even technically have a walkthrough. It's up to the front door and back. It's 120 feet from start to finish. So, you know, you wait 2.5 hours, and some people go in there and will blow through it in 15 seconds. Other people take, 3-4 minutes, which is great, because they're looking at stuff.
Well, you guys kind of trick everybody, right? Because you go through, you don't scare them all the way up the first time.
Right.
You just let them go, and then they get to the dead end, and they're like, wait, what? And then Glenn pops out of the mine. They have this huge mine at the very, very end with a scrim, that lights up, and Glenn's behind the scrim, so it's kind of like, this ghost image showing up, and they're like, what? And then right behind them is a door panel, and I have video of just people losing their minds. Just like, they're like, I don't get it, where are we going? Holy shit! Like, drop to the ground or just go running.
Yeah, it's pretty much, once Glenn sort of triggers it, at that point, and for 60 feet, there's like 5 different scares in 60 feet.
And they're effective.
Yeah, and each one works pretty well, and we pretty much just force everybody out.
Yeah, it's great. But I love that you can walk through and you can look at all the detail, because you guys have 1, 2, 3, 4 projectors?
Right now we're looking at 6.
6 projections.
Yeah.
Literally, it's
front yard.
It's the front yard.
Front yard.
That's
and
it.
driveway. Yeah.
It's crazy because it feels like a giant house. It feels like a full walkthrough, but it's a very small space.
Yeah, I mean the neat part that people say, as soon as they get through the front, entrance kind of thing, it's like you're in a different world, and they kind of forget about it, And people say, "What's this the rest of the yard?" This is the driveway. One year we had like a swamp in the whole driveway, and they're like, "Is this the water here all the time?" And this is the driveway. So.
Well, speaking of water, because you guys would actually, you'd brick it up and you'd actually make a moat, and it was like highlighter fluid in it or something, right? Because it would glow.
Yeah.
It was basically just water dye. It was just water dye.
Yeah, I made the water fluoresce in black light, but it was real water. We had it dripping on the ceiling and everything,
Right, and you guys did that, and you guys, 2 years ago, had a full, river running through your haunt. Like a man-made river. It's crazy. I remember the people going through, and it's like, is there water down here? And you look down, there's a full stream going through the entire haunt. It's just yeah, you had a bridge with real grass, then you had to go under the knoll, and then a giant gingerbread man attacked you. It's true. So Beware the Dark Realm. So you guys also have a line that goes through, but yours is interesting because it's hand over the microphone. You guys have your entrance and exit's almost in exactly the same spot. So you enter and you kind of go. Can you just like walk us through the path real quick? Over to you.
Yeah. So basically, ours takes place on driveway, front lawn, front entryway, garage, a little bit of the side and everything. And just so they kind of enter on one half of the driveway and make their way up and through everything and up towards the front door to the house, in through the garage, and then come back out on that opposite side of the driveway.
If you've seen in the trailer or the teaser, we'll show you the trailer later. We have the full trailer, by the way. The teaser that you guys saw at the beginning of this, that drone shot that comes up down, that's their house. So that's their driveway up the side yard, up by the front yard, through the garage, and then you just stop people and force them to like scream in the dark for a while.
A couple different spots where we'll stop people in the maze and it'll look like there's no way of continuing forward, and there'll be a door behind them that wasn't there, or the way they came was blocked off and now a new passageway will open up and they'll make their way through that. So just a lot of different creative things to kind of get them twisted. And
to remind you, these are not professional hunters. This is their house. All these people have normal jobs. This is not a full-time position. Like, Scott, would you care to, what were you in a past life?
I'm a retired mailman.
So you're saying you have a lot of building and hunts get hired.
Yes, which qualifies me for doing haunts, I guess, because I was a mailman.
And you just recently retired, too.
What was that now?
You just recently retired.
Yes, I did, yeah, thank goodness.
So technically now you're a full-time hunter.
I guess so. I guess that's my job now, too.
Yeah, see, there you go. Dreams come true.
And we don't do Halloween anymore.
Oh, no, you don't? Okay.
We don't do Halloween anymore. We're not a Halloween haunt anymore. We're a haunt for haunters, period.
Nice.
These people like this are the people that I want to have show up at my house, not the Halloween crowd anymore.
So what happened? Was it just crowds?
There's a distinct difference, and I've talked to a few of you guys before on it too. There's a distinct difference between the people that show up on Halloween night and the people that'll show up this year. We open on October 13th. Someone that shows up that early really, really loves the haunt stuff, and they love to go through it, and they're just so appreciative when they go through, and they had a great time, and it was, just wonderful. And I didn't mind driving all the way out to Santa Clarita to check it out, and it was a lot of fun. The Halloween people are a little different. They're kind of persnickety, especially Santa Clarita. Now you guys get really good big crowds where sometimes we're not all that busy. Sometimes Santa Clarita is a hard sell. It really is. It's very conservative, and I look like the devil to some of these people when I start putting the castle, okay? However, though, more than the first few years when we opened the castle, 80% of our people weren't from Santa Clarita that showed up. And it's increased a little bit over the year, but I still get more people outside of Santa Clarita coming to my house, and I love them, but I tell them, gosh, you drove all the way from Long Beach, Orange County, Palmdale, Lancaster, Ventura, Bakersfield. Gee, we get people from other countries. And that just blows me away. I'm like, okay, I know you didn't come from France to come to my haunt. Okay, there's a little more to it.
Or did they?
Yeah, or did they? I have no idea. But so we tend to get people from other areas, and not necessarily right from our own community, which kind of hurts a little bit. I wish Santa Clarita would step it up a little bit. Cass State did much better this last year. There's a lot more people from Cass State.
Well, hopefully.
Well, you never know.
We'll get the word out.
I'd like to think so. So Santa Clarita, show up. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So, Restless Souls. So you guys, you've only been going a few years, but last year you guys had a number of people come through.
Yeah, I think our crowd was pretty good. I mentioned we did the yard display for a number of years, and so we kind of just had a good word of mouth following. People who've been coming to see the yard display on Halloween every year. And then we decided to do the walkthrough, and the word's kind of spread. We really haven't, quote unquote, advertised. in any way, shape, or form. The Halloween night crowd, definitely pretty sizable.
Nice. And you guys are growing, obviously. The word is getting out. The word is spreading. What would be the most memorable guest experience?
The most memorable guest experience. Well, I got to say, frankly, you know, when I have people who come up who are, you know, other haunters, actually. So when another haunter comes to the haunt, and then, you know, gives me some sort of praise on the experience, I think those are the most memorable moments for me. Definitely. That, and then it's balanced with, you know, obviously kids, right? Because we try to do a very family-friendly haunt. For instance, we don't have any gore at all in our haunt, and we offer a no-scare option every year. So we had an experience where we were working in the garage, you know, a few weeks after we'd finished the teardown, doing some repairs before things were being put into storage, my wife and I, and a gentleman and his little daughter, she was probably 4 or 5, were coming down the street, and they passed us, and they saw us with the garage door open, and she saw some of the props and things, you know, from the hunt, and she said, Daddy, this is the haunted house. You know, thank you for the haunted house to us, you know, and I thought, you know, certainly it's that great balance between your peers and then the audience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, Diana and Preston, you guys, I've been to your haunt. There's lines miles down the road to get into this thing. It feels like miles. But what are the crowds like? What's an average night for you guys look like?
700-800.
A night?
Yeah.
Through your house? Well, through the yard. So do you have grass by the end of this?
Calhoun killed what little was left.
So how do you guys, we've got a few minutes here, and then we have some videos to show. What does a typical opening night look like for you guys? Like, how do you get prepared to open? Like, what's the run through from, you know, first start to actually open?
Well, getting everything set up and running is the biggest hassle. You know, trying to actually open on time is a goal that we've tried to obtain over the 28 years. I don't think we ever have.
One night last year.
But we open usually at 7:30, and line starts forming at 6 sometimes. And people for a while got a little restive, and we finally got a little bit of line entertainment going, and it seemed to solve problems.
Yeah, because you guys used to have like line fights and stuff, right? People would kind of get out of hand, and that's not a good thing when it's in a neighborhood and there's people waiting to go through this home hunt and they're just fighting, right? So you guys saw that. I remember you saying one of your guys literally just put a security shirt on, and it was like problem solved. That's it.
I'm out there trying to control everything, and it's just me out in front, and they're fighting, they're doing all this shit. This guy comes the next year, puts on a security shirt, it's all gone. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's all. It's perceived security. That's all it is.
Part of the problem is that they're waiting. At that time, they were waiting 2.5 hours in line. So it's like if they don't have nothing. So then one talks, well, that one's cutting in, and that one's talking bad about their mama, and you know, it starts all this. So then it's too much time. So we've also tried. There's a lot of things we would like to do in the haunt, but we can't because now we're conscious of how long they wait in line and the fear of the fights. So we cut down. So a lot of things, you know, that we have all these brain ideas. We come up with all this really cool stuff, and we think, oh shoot, that line. Yeah, well, that's a time killer. We can't do that. We can't do that. How can we cut it down so that way they don't have to wait that long? Because that has also helped with the fights and stuff.
Oh yeah, you want people waiting as little as possible, but you don't want the conga line going through the haunt either. You want a nice, you know, staggered experience. So, oh sorry, yeah.
We found out that you do an intro and tell them what the setup is and what's going on. And if you take 45 seconds, that's too long. So you've got to keep it like down and concise and get them moved on to the next room so you get 6 more people in.
Right, get them in, get them out as quickly as possible. But you still have to make the experience good. That's kind of the trick, right?
Home haunting has gotten over the years from basic store-bought props to being almost professional.
Everybody's heard of like Halloween Horror Nights or Not Scary Farm, whatever. You just say it's like that, but like somebody has taken some of that and put that at their house. They built it in their driveway, they built it around the side of their house. It's really the whole next level of creating a pro experience, really.
You feel like you're in a castle, or as best as I possibly could in my front yard in Santa Clarita, California.
Home haunter is somebody who does a haunt out of their home, and they do it just simply for the love of doing it. They don't make any money from it. They don't, we just simply do it for the love of it.
These are like passionate art installations that are almost replacing trick-or-treating.
I think oftentimes if we can just inspire one person that's going to come through here someday that's going to say, that was the coolest thing ever. When I get a house of my own, I'm going to do that.
We're just about out of time. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. These guys are amazing. And make sure you guys go visit their haunts. Go to Irvine, Santa Clarita, go to Palmdale, and go to Burbank. Support the haunt community. Right? Cool. Thank you guys.